For decades, Jay Silverheels was best known as Tonto, the loyal companion to the Lone Ranger, a character who became one of television's most iconic heroes of the 1950s. But behind the brave, stoic figure millions saw on screen was a man whose real-life story was far more complex, inspiring, and at times heartbreaking. Today, as new details about his life and struggles come to light, fans are discovering the truth about Jay Silverheels, a man who not only broke barriers in Hollywood but also endured immense hardship while fighting for the dignity and respect of his people. Born Harold J. Smith on May 26, 1912, on the Six Nations Reserve in Ontario, Canada, Silverheels came from a proud Mohawk background. Before Hollywood ever called, Jay was an athlete, a gifted lacrosse player and boxer who earned recognition across Canada and the United States. But acting was never his first dream. It was opportunity and circumstance that brought him to Hollywood, where his handsome looks and commanding presence soon caught the eye of casting directors. Unfortunately, at a time when Indigenous representation was almost non-existent and often deeply stereotyped, Jay found himself limited to playing roles that didn't reflect the reality of his heritage. His big break came in 1949, when he was cast as Tonto in the Lone Ranger television series. Overnight, Jay Silverheels became a household name. For years, audiences watched Tonto and the Lone Ranger bring justice to the Wild West, their partnership becoming a symbol of loyalty and friendship. But while fans adored him, Jay faced constant frustration behind the scenes. Hollywood typecasting meant that despite his talent, he was rarely offered roles outside the native sidekick mold. Even though his performance gave Tonto a sense of dignity and strength that defied the script's limitations, Jay struggled with how Native people were portrayed on screen. Off camera, Jay Silverheels was outspoken about the need for better representation of Indigenous people in film and television. He was one of the very few actors of his time brave enough to criticize the industry that had made him famous. In the 1960s, long after The Lone Ranger ended, he founded the Indian Actors Workshop in Los Angeles, a groundbreaking organization dedicated to helping Native American actors develop their skills and demand fair opportunities. It was a courageous act that came with professional risk, but Jay knew it was necessary. "We are more than stereotypes," he once said. "We are people with stories, families, and voices that deserve to be heard." Despite his success, Jay's later years were marked by challenges. He suffered several health problems, including strokes, which forced him to step away from acting. He passed away in 1980 at the age of 67, leaving behind a legacy far greater than just the character he played. While the world knew him as Tonto, his true contribution went much deeper. He helped pave the way for future generations of Indigenous performers to be seen and heard on their own terms. In recent years, as conversations about representation and diversity have grown, Jay Silverheels' story has found new life. Modern audiences are re-examining his career, not just as a sidekick to the Lone Ranger, but as a pioneer who fought quietly and courageously against Hollywood's prejudices. His work inspired countless actors who followed, proving that one man could change the narrative through determination and pride in his identity. Fans around the world continue to honor his memory. To many, Jay Silverheels will always be Tonto, but to those who know his full story, he's much more a hero in his own right, who used his fame not for self-promotion, but to open doors for others. The truth about Jay Silverheels is one of strength, resilience, and integrity. He may have ridden in the shadow of the Lone Ranger on screen, but in real life, Jay Silverheels stood tall, a true trailblazer who changed Hollywood forever.